We are in the technological transformation. The technology is being evolved, and we are at the edge of a revolution. So many technologies came in. Whether you talk about from the IT side, you talk about the mainframe age, where there is like a LAN, WAN, and things like that, and then we move to the client server environment, then the e-commerce, and then we had a hiccup for the millennium bug and those kind of things, you know. So we are at the edge of a revolution where the data is coming from each and individual device, and there are emerging technologies. Okay, so I have the reason for me to stand over here now. So this is actually the theme, although I have very minimal slides, but each slide it worth like one session. So as you can see, like that's what I was talking about, like a big theme. Where I will talk about the concept and how the thing has to work, then IT and business perspectives, and then I will be talking a little bit about technology and access of forces and third platform, and so on. Then I will move to those four forces what we have in terms of IT, which is not only changing the way how the business is working today, but it is impacting every individual life. Whether it's a personal life or it's a social life or it is you are like a business associate or you are like an entrepreneur, those kind of things. So here, the slogan here, the theme, what I want to build up the rhythm over here, we have given an information, whether you as a CIO, you as a head of IT, the business value, it is all about the information. So the information is given for us to take certain actions. You as a head of IT, you as a head of a particular service provider, you have to take certain actions. And those actions, once you take, the value will be driven. Whether you talk about the project management, you talk about the Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, and you talk about any kind of methodology. Although we are IT guys, but we have to always look for the business, we have to look for the strategy, what is our strategy, what is our business goal, those kind of things you have to see. When you talk about the real world, where I can see you valued colleagues, you are sitting right in front of me, but there is something virtual world. And these two worlds, they are getting closer day by day. They are not like isolated, it's a virtual life and it's the physical life. No, there is a gap is being reduced by new innovations, with the help of new technologies. Whether you talk about the Google Glass, the project with the Google they are doing, or you talk about the Microsoft Glass, also Microsoft they came up with an augmented reality where you can see, where you can map the real world and the equivalent information or the information related to that particular physical world will be visible to you at the same time. Whereas in the Google Glass, there is certain dimension, there is certain angle you need to have it in order to find the information for that particular physical world. We as an individuals, we have a social life, and the social life, it is actually impacting the real life. People are getting married from a social point of view, they are doing a lot of business. Before we actually come up with a product or a solution, you are talking about taking the opinion from the audience, taking the opinion from the consumer market. I can bet each one and every individual of you having some kind of smartphone, and you may be having a kind of a social profile present, whether it's a LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter and anything else. So these two worlds actually they are coming together, and this particular trend is called information world. Information, it is important, but information, actions you have to take on that information, and those actions are very critical for you, and the knowledge will be driven, the value will be driven. Where you have an object, every object what you see today, it doesn't have to be your smartphone or it doesn't have to be your tablet which you have, which is like a computational device. It doesn't have to be. Even the non-computational devices also have certain characteristics. It has certain values, it has certain data, it has certain dimensions. So every object what you see today, they are universal data objects. Google, they claim themselves. They are data driven, they take the decisions based on the data, based on the facts. So it is not just about the theory, it is not about the just information. Information is like a raw data. I will try to cover that particular part when I come to a little bit big data. I have only 20 minutes, so which is too short, but during this particular time, I try to come up with a rhythm and I try to bring a thought process. That's what I was talking about. If you talk about, most of you, I can see that you guys are senior guys, you practice project management, when you talk about the business, we are talking about a process, a business process, and that process has a start and end, and those processes need to be optimized, it has to make it efficient. We have to see how we can reduce the time, how we can increase the satisfaction of our customer, how we can increase the productivity, whether if you are in the manufacturing and so on, things like that. So when you talk about the project management, there is all knowledge areas what you see today, they have an input and there is some tools and techniques are being applied in order to get an output. And that output will go as an input to the other knowledge area. And the whole thing, if you talk as a project management, it is a complete process. So where you have a scope, where you have certain goals, where you have certain objectives, where you have certain strategies which has been given to you from the business side. And there are certain things which will come, whether you talk about the internal factors or internal processes or external influencers, whether you talk about as an external regulations, you talk about the geographic locations and things like that. So I will move to the other one. And with this all exercise, what we exactly trying to achieve, it's the goal, it is the value, whatever we do today. My answer for a specific problem may not be the same for the other customer who asks the same question. So the answer, it varies based on the conditions, based on the priority, based on the scenarios, based on your segment, based on your product. There are so many criteria. So this is the thought process. Although, alhamdulillah, I have also spent like 20 years after my completion of my engineering, and most of the time I spent in Saudi Arabia itself. And these 4 topics I have been talking for 1.5 years. And you can see there is something called data objects. Gartner, it came last month and they were talking about Internet of Things. We talk about memory computing. Those kind of new trends are coming up. They are talking about the cloud in a box. So I will try to cover that particular thing. So there is IT perspective and there is a business perspective. IT, they think we are like a value center, we are like innovators, we are the one who is changing the way how the business is being done. We are helping to catalyze, to avail more business opportunities across different geographic regions. We are the one who is helping the business to reduce the cost. We are the one who is trying to solve the business process problems and so on. So it's a thought process. However, the business, they think it's a cost center and they disagree what IT is saying. And it is, I'm not saying IT is right or the business is right, but what I'm trying to tell over here, that there is a gap over there. So we as an IT, the business is the driving force. It is not the technology. The business is first. The technology, it will be complemented. They are like the tools which can be used in order to achieve our target and business goal. As you might have seen, when we started in 1980s, when the TCP/IP protocol was established, where there is one PC is connected to the other PC, where you have the connectivity only, it was a concern and it was an issue. And the connectivity was resolved. So now we are in the second generation of super connectivity. Now every individual has some or other thing, whether it's your smartphone, you are talking about tablets, or you are talking about your TV, refrigerator, or any electrical appliances. It has a certain characteristics where you can establish a connectivity. Even the gaming, they are the first one who has established the internet connectivity. So the data is coming from everywhere. So we are in super connected world. We are not just connected, we are in the super connected world, where we see most of the devices, computational devices. It provides the connectivity, it provides certain elements and certain characteristics which will not only allow you to provide a connected platform, a super connected platform, but also it is making us to be ready for the hyper connected world. I would like, again, this could be like, I just thought of, sharing this particular, we as a CIO or somebody as a CIO or somebody as a head of IT. CIO is not just about a chief information officer, as I was saying. Yes, information is important, but it is raw. Based on that information, you cannot make the decisions which could be tangible. It is about chief innovation officer. He has to innovate something. He has to do something little different from what has been done in order to add little value to the thing which is being done, and those kind of things. There is something came up by the Gartner. Although I am in the IDC platform, however, I am trying to touch some of the statistical and research analysis which IDC also have done. Chief Digital Officer, as you can see, this particular gentleman, he will have an operational experience, he will have the management experience, he knows how to roll out those strategies which has been set by at the board level. And he is capable, and he is the one who will digitize the whole organization, and this will be the new role. And according to the Gartner, again it will be by 2015, 25% of organizations will have this particular role. And I talk about the internal and external. And this is the place actually I'm going to spend some time for a couple of slides, and this is like you can say it's like an agenda. Gartner came up on 24th of October, I believe. They call Nexus of Forces, where you talk about the cloud, you talk about the big data, social and mobile. And day before yesterday, IDC also they came up with the prediction 2013, and they talk about the four technologies. And according to IDC, again, you are talking about the cloud, you are talking about the big data, and you are talking about the social technologies, and of course the mobile devices and mobile computing, and so on. So according to IDC, there is a first platform of mainframes, as some of our speakers, they have shown that particular slide beautifully. It was a mainframe, that was the first platform, and there is second platform of client server and so on. And now we are in the era of third platform, and these four technologies, they will be crucial in order for an organization to succeed or not to succeed. So we have to see, as an IT pro, we have to see how we can influence our organization. And basically, when you talk about the first cloud, I will try to touch that particular thing. The cloud is not in the hand of ITs, although we assume that cloud is about a complex infrastructure which is working in the background, and we as a user, we just see the beautiful pieces together, and where we see ease of use, ease of navigation. As you can see, the iPhone, what you have, or any smartphones, what you have, it is a super computational device. If you compare when Neil Armstrong, he went to the space, and he had a supercomputer. So what is happening actually, the trend from the history, it is coming back, but the lessons what we have learned is already implemented. We are talking about the same thing which was happening at that time when we were talking about supercomputing or mainframes. We used to have big room, big halls, big buildings, where you have a lot of computational power. The real computing, whether you talk about the bank or large enterprises, that's the thing, which we were talking about. Now your small iPhone or any Android device, it is more stronger than the thing which we were talking about. So what happens as a transformation? The big buildings, they are being transferred to a floor, and the floor is being transferred to a room, and the room is transferred to the cabinet. And the process is it's working. I am not trying to segregate whether it's a private cloud, public cloud, or hybrid cloud, or social cloud. But I am trying to say how the things are being transformed. And believe me, this is not an IT transformation. It is something which is impacting to every business. So I've been shown a few minutes, so the topic is very long. So I will try to skip some of the slides, and even this slide I will try to skip. I just try to show this particular slide only, where we can see when you talk about the virtualization or things like that, when you're talking about having your own data center. And people think like virtualization is nothing but you just right click so many physical and procure so many new family of servers, and you just transfer those servers to the virtual servers. Yes, that is also there, but there is something you have to do it in order to make your virtualization efforts and investment, which you can encash even today itself. You have to start with the assessment. You have to jump into the data center and see. Believe me, you will find a lot of junk. Whether it's a hardware, whether it's a communication devices, you talk about the software application, and you have to see what is your plan, what is your strategy, and so on. I will try to rush up. So that's what. And then you talk about the standardization. You try to standardize, whether it's a hardware standardization, you talk about the software standardization, and then you go for the consolidation, different SQL servers, different applications, they are working at different platforms. You have to standardize and then consolidate, and then you go for the virtualization, and then you are talking about automation and self-service, how you can deliver that as a service, and the alignment and integration process has to happen. And then only, my friends, you will be ready to think and to talk about the cloud, if you are talking about the private and the hybrid cloud. However, the topic is very long, and even big data, it is my favorite subject. And this particular slide itself will take like 2 to 3 hours. However, as you may be aware, we are talking about 3 V's: volume, velocity, and variety. Why we are talking about the big data? We never talk. It's a buzzword. People are selling, vendors they are selling, they are trying to encash from the customer. But yes, I do agree with that. So the encashment is happening at the customer end, and at the same time, it is you as a business, it is you as a consumer, you are also getting the benefit. You may be paying less cost, and again it depends, cost may not be always the element for the justification, because there are certain values which can be driven, which cannot be measured with the cost. It's the value, all about value and goals. And why we are saying big data? Because those challenges of computing, those challenges of getting the data into your enterprise data warehouse, it was never been considered as one of the elements where you can make business strategic decisions. Although SAP and so many vendors, they talk about 360 view. I'm sorry to say that it's not 360 view, with all my respect, because you are taking only the enterprise data. You are not taking the data which is coming from the social, which is being generated from the locations, which is being your company. There is a talk on the social side. You are not considering while you are making the decision. All those attributes, characteristics, elements need to be put together and make the decision which is wise enough, not only to safeguard your current and today's investment, not only to serve today's requirement for your business, but also you are preparing yourself for the future. And this is what we are talking about. We are in the era, with all my respect to the hardware vendors, we are at the beginning of the end of PC era. The internet traffic for some of the emerging economies has already exceeded more than the PC and the laptops what you see today. However, there is a transformation and transition phase is happening. So this transformation, this transition, it is impacting every individual, whether it's a personal life, professional life, and so on. And of course, the volume, no matter you have the information, you have certain statistics, you have certain data where you can make, but how long it will take for you to have those kind of computation and things like that. So the real-time analytics, the real-time where you get all the information to your platform and things like that, and then you will be able to make the decision, and that's what I was talking about here. And mobility, I will not talk on this particular, because always you are talking about the consumerized IT. For me, enterprise computing is consumerized IT is more important than the enterprise computing, because there is nothing right. What a consumer he wants, that's what the enterprise has to calculate, and that's how he has to design. We design today applications, we design things, and that will only work for the client and for the PCs and for the laptops. But this is the future, and these are the trends. Whether you talk about the IDC, you talk about the forester, you talk about the gardener and so on. The application, when you design something, when you are designing an application portfolio, keep that thing in mind. However, I think, I'll just try to spend a couple of minutes over here. This is the, you haven't seen this one, maybe on the net, Ninja framework, open framework. Actually, I'm trying to develop a kind of consortium, and my goal to roll out for those organizations, especially who want to go for the private and the hybrid cloud, and this is what I was talking about. For me, the business, I will just read a couple of things. When you're talking about the definition of goals, when you want to go to the cloud, you are talking about define goals for your business and orchestrate a typical cloud-ready architecture, which has to be in line with your organization strategy. That's the first step before you actually decide or not decide, because you have to always have what are your goals, what is the purpose of your organization which is there in the market, and that's how it starts. Then assessment and so on, things are there, and of course I'm going to have a couple of more speaking sessions, and that there I will try to elaborate, and I have my own stuff, and I would like to say thank you, and I would like to welcome for the questions, and these are things actually. Big data delivery model, where the governance has to happen. Governance, when you're talking about the risk and the governance, it is like hand in hand. Always the governance process has to happen. There is nothing like I do the risk assessment and there is a security threat and privacy stuff and all of that. And with all my respect, security, yes, it is a concern, and it was a concern, and it is going to be carried forward as a concern. For that you have to, but there is nothing came up as a new because of the cloud computing. Security was there as a concern, and privacy, it is something where you really need to look into that. According to me, personally speaking, privacy, how I can make sure my information is not being shown to my competitor or other person. So these are the three things which I have developed actually. Delivery model for the big data I have done, and there is a Ninja open framework for the cloud, and there are like 4 stages last month, and these 3 things I have been actually delivering for almost 1.5 years at different events. And thanks a lot, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Ahmed. Any questions that we have for Mr. Ahmed about something that you've heard throughout the early sessions, and which complements very well with what Mr. Ahmed had to say about the future and the upcoming technologies and their influence on your business models? About security, I would like to make a quick point about security that you mentioned. Valid for all organizations across verticals, irrespective of the size of your company. Security is an utmost concern, and as far as IDC is concerned, how we look at security, it will be very interesting to know that the outsourcing market in Saudi Arabia is one of the fastest growing markets as per our research. So the traditional model of IT operations is gradually changing, where organizations are focusing on more value-added, innovation-driven practices, and they're outsourcing the more non-value-added work processes to specialized third-party providers. So as the market matures and as the benefits of some of the upcoming technologies are implemented and companies do get accustomed to those business models, we believe that the security aspect, the security phobia, as we say, will gradually phase out. But yes, of course, as you said, it's a matter of time.
Yes, and there is no security came up as a concern because of the cloud. Security was there as a concern, and I believe that especially the public clouds, what they are delivering as a model, believe me, they have better security than what we are actually making in our data centers. And as a research, your own employee he's the one who is the bigger threat. So we have to put in place those policies and procedures, and and IDC, they have their own research reports, and other vendors also. I mean, other research company, they have those kind of things. We are not bringing something new. Security was a concern, and it will remain a concern. And as you can see, I put it as a governance. The governance has to happen. There is nothing. At one point, I just did my thing. Security check is done, and that's it. Privacy is something I believe personally. Yes, you have to look into that. You have to see what is the SLA, how it is being drafted, and so on. Thanks a lot. And if there is any question, you can see my contact and all kind of, I'm strongly connected to the LinkedIn and Twitter, so you can come up and you can look me up. Thanks a lot.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. A pleasure having you. I hope you enjoyed the session. Now we have Mr. Karam Abu Ataya, who is a software-defined data